Hey everybody, it's your Green Wizard. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, hit that button, ring that bell. If you enjoy the video, or any of my videos for that matter, give me that thumbs up. Let me know you're there. I know commenting and what have you under some circumstances is a little bit of an issue right now for a few of our channels, and hey, it is what it is. We understand. A little bit of an update. Elegant Homestead, we got a report. She's permanently in the hospital. She's under double pneumonia. It's really bad, really bad. So Elegant, if you hear this, prayers out to you and your family. Get well soon. Get back. This is really depressing news to hear this morning. It kind of really took the wind out of our sails. We got an email from her stepdaughter, and yeah, it's the news couldn't be worse. Anyhow, the Ann Beal show. A few of you guys remember or have not had a chance to check my channel for different radio shows I've been on. I've been asked to go back to the Ann Beal show once again to do another show on yard and garden prep for the season. Now, understand, they live in Texas. They've applied the system to their yard and doing wonderfully. And the Facebook issue has been squared away so that during commercial breaks, you can actually hear the conversation going on now. We're going to try and figure out how to grab a Facebook Live so we can host it over here after the fact. But yeah, when I get the details, it's a Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is like 10 o'clock in Texas time, something like that. Anyhow, when we get closer to the date, I'll bring that news up. So that's some good news. What else have we got? Sherry Kay and I have talked a little bit more, and she's getting some decent feedback on us do a collaboration video or multiple of videos, both on nutrition and dieting. We're going to come at it from two different sides. So give us some feedback on that. Email us, whether it be Sherry Kay or myself, what have you. Sounds like we're going to put together a pretty good series as time permits. We're not going to do live shows on that. We may do lives after the fact or something so that you guys can sound off on some of that stuff. We'll see. What else have I got? There's some other stuff going on. I'll cover that a little bit later because I want to do this at the speed of a cup of coffee, if at all possible. I don't want to hold up your time. But if you're ready, got a pen, paper, just some highlights on some stuff. Now, understand with the Green Wizard's Guide, and a lot of my videos, I've talked to you about making sure that your yard around your garden is just as prepped and just as well taken care of as your garden itself. Well, some of these suggestions I have for this year, you'll understand why I say that because of the conditions. And yes, some of what I'm going to talk about today is in book 2. I don't want to go any further with that. Again, I'm not going to write book 2 to its completion if we can't get the book out and do better than we've done this first year, which is coming up really quick. We've struggled. We haven't been able to launch this sucker. have not been able to get strong enough channels behind us to get going. But, you know, hey, one step at a time, one page at a time, we'll get there. We'll get there. This book's going to take off. And hopefully you guys have got signed copies of it and what have you. And um, get your value back in a sense, because you've got a signed copy of something that's going to be pretty outstanding across the world. But you guys don't need to hear all that speech. You don't. I'm sure that's not why you clicked this one this morning. Oh man, I'm already 5 minutes into this and I haven't said anything. Okay, let's start with our list. I would call this a top 10 list, but in category, not in plants. And again, all of this depends on the size of your garden, obviously, because some of these things grow tall, wide, spread out, what have you. So obviously, plan accordingly. Some of these, like our worst case scenarios for planning, and this is what is really important in a lot of gardens. Well, no, it doesn't matter, because this year, Texas got hit with some cold weather. So, this stuff matters in a lot of cases. Like eggplant, for example. And yes, this is one of the plants I suggest you grow. Very high in fiber, incredible for dieters. Something we should lean into more and grow more and eat more of. This is a tricky one because it takes 100 to 120 days for this thing to come to full maturity. Okay. But you need to start this thing in the house 8 to 9 weeks ahead of the very last frost of the season. So if you're used to April showers and starting to plant stuff, I mean, you need to start these things in February, the end of February, what have you, depending on where your region is. The reason I'm pushing this one, and obviously, this is not the vitamin channel. That's Ron Neitzel. That's the other channel. The link is below, called Brain Food. And I covered these in Brain Food at the end for my suggestion, but I wanted to kind of give the mix. So I wanted to bring vitamins in over here a little bit just to give you an understanding of what's on that other channel. But go check out that other channel. I'm taking that in a whole lot of different directions. That I think people are going to be more interested in, because I concentrate strictly on specific items as we go over there. But eggplant, very high in potassium, high in antioxidants. In the antioxidants, these are extremely important, especially in brain cells, because the antioxidant protects the skin of the cell itself and protects it from free radicals, gives cell life more abundance in essence, because it's just like a protective coating. Let's call it that, a protective coating over the cell, and stops free radicals from coming in and invading and killing off the cell. Eggplant, huge, tremendous, but again, it grows like a vine. Where you put it, where you want to plant this thing, do your research, check this out. Some gardeners will do certain plants in certain areas, and some will have completely separate beds for vining plants, such as the eggplant, because of what it does and how it grows. And it takes up some space. These fruits are not little. All right, moving on. Number 9, beets. This is 45 to 60 days. Your soil temperatures are important here. This is a 50-degree and up. Okay. And I know some people have some issues with the red beets. And I'm hearing this more and more often. What they don't realize is and a lot of people don't realize is you could grow the beet, not actually harvest the beet, but leave it in the soil and harvest the leaves only. It turns out that a lot of the vitamins and the stuff that we're after, the potassium, magnesium, the manganese, there's actually more nutrition and more nutrients found in the leaves than there are in the beet itself. So yeah, you may want to think that one through and kind of treat that one more so like lettuce than you would a beet. Um, just if you have issues with beets, just one of those things to think about. Next one, asparagus. Here's one. It's This is a 60-day. Okay, and again, it's going to depend on your frost ratios and some of the other things that are going on. But this is another one that is great for fighting the free radicals that would come in and attack the cells. Um, Very high in potassium, protein, phosphorus, folates. Okay, this is one of those ones you want to use for clean out properties for your colon and other regions of the intestinal tracts. Um, and, and some of you, I'm sure, have dealt with this, and you understand what I'm trying not to say. Very high in iron, so it's great for blood production. Um, it's high in A, B6. Okay, this is one of the better ones. So you want to look into growing asparagus in your garden this year. Um, Alfalfa sprouts. Now this is an interesting one. As much as I preach alfalfa to feed the soils, alfalfa hay to cover the soils. You want no soils showing. Um, Alfalfa sprouts, on the other hand, the actual seeds from this winter growing plant. Um, you can grow these things in the house in 3 to 5 days in a mason jar. A little bit of water, 1 teaspoon will give you almost 2 cups of sprouts to eat. Now, you want to talk about cost savings, and you've got your high antioxidants in there. You've got your calcium, potassium, manganese, extremely high in fiber, and it grows in your house on the counter in a sunny window in 3 to 5 days, and you can start eating this. So you salad eaters out there, or you people thinking about dieting, what have you, this is one of those ones that's going to be a filler. It will fill you up. It's got some water. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but this is a tremendous one. Um, Fiber rich, manganese, you know what I mean? Calcium's in there, and all of this is just feeding off water and air. Now watch the water, obviously. Don't put straight tap water in there. Let that water breathe overnight. Give it 24 hours or so, or get yourself some spring water, some high vitamin water type stuff. But let it breathe at least 24 hours before you start growing alfalfa in it. Um, and you can find the instructions online. It's fairly simple. Just look up alfalfa sprouts. Um, if you can get the seeds in, go crazy with this. This is a great uh, afternoon and dinner food for dieters, because it's a filler. So have your little bit of salad before you eat the heart of your meal, and just don't fill up. Okay. Next one, carrots. This is 75 days. This is a tricky one. Um, if you've got rocks in your soil, type of thing, what have you, this is the one I referred to, that you would need to be looking at the next book when the Green Wizard releases the next book, the Garden Guide, or whatever title I give it, uh, because your soil is extremely important here. You need soil that's 12 inches deep, topsoil, 12 inches deep. Now that's great for some of the the raised bed gardeners that are on the ground that are using cinder blocks and what have you, and backfill and this, that, and the other, but you can have nothing that's going to stop its growth. Well, another thing I found when growing these things, you can't amend high nitrogen in the area or around there. Now, a year-old filler of nitrogen is one thing, okay, or letting the clover nitrogen filler is one thing. If there's pockets of high nitrogen, the carrots will actually misshape and run with the roots and follow the food web to get to that nitrogen, and you're going to get some very weird looking carrots. They actually say that the more sandy your soil, the better off you are to grow carrots to their deepest possibility and their best probability. Now, this is a beta carotene. This is an eye. Eye and hair, actually. If you're having some hair issues, what have you, you really, really want to be eating carrots. Your eyesight again, and that was the old wives' tale, but it turns out that it's the vitamin A and the vitamin C. The combination of the two are extremely, extremely good for those with hair issues. If you color your hair a lot or that kind of stuff, you may want to be thinking you need to be eating a whole lot more carrots to help defend yourself against some of those chemicals that you're treating your hair with. I don't want to push that too far, but carrots, that's another one. This one's broad spectrum. There's and I'm not going to go into any one specific here, except to say that there is one very specific that you should have in your garden this year, but it's your dark green vegetables, your spinach, your Swiss chard, your kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, okay, broccoli. This is all one family. These are just considered your dark green vegetables, but it's one specific family. And they take up their own amount of space for what have you. Broccoli would be the number one producer for your vitamins and nutrients. Now I know we kind of bang around different directions, and we've talked about how bad spinach is currently versus what it used to be. But once you're following the Green Wizards system and you're amending your soils and you're treating your soils like they're part of the family and a living being, these things grow uncontrollably, and you'll get plenty with all the nutrients and vitamins that you could need and more. But the one you want to lean to as you're just getting started would be your broccoli. Now, of course, it requires its own way of growing and what have you, and I'm not going to go into that because there was too many here. Spinach, Swiss chard, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. Each one has its own little uniqueness as to how it grows. Next one, tomatoes. God, I just, it's the top dog to me. I love this thing. It tells you more about what's going on in your soil, how well everything is just all the vitamins that are available in it. Very high in A and C. What we're after specifically is the lycopene in tomatoes. That's why we need it. Low calorie, high nutrient, very dense, but we get the lycopene. This is another one, though, that, this is where you've got to plan your garden and plan ahead of your frost. This is a 6 to 8 week plant that needs to be growing indoors ahead of the last frost. And then you want to get that thing in the ground at, when you reach temperatures 50, 60 degrees. It's 50 to 60 days to maturity. And that's the part you want to watch. You want to watch your maturity date. You'd like to be harvesting a lot of your lettuces all at the same time and a lot of this all at the same time and doing combinations of things. Okay. Um, and of course, tomatoes is one of those ones you can either doctor all year long and you can grow it up a trellis, or you can run it out a wall, or you can. This is a vining plant. It's if you let nature do its thing, this sucker wants to hang somewhere. Okay, and I'm not saying hang this sucker in one of those dangling bags or what have you, but if you plant this thing high and let it come down a wall or something, you may get better results. This is just one of those plants. Now, I had mentioned before that there's a channel out here that's got some very high end tomatoes that has been running down this hillside, running wild for 15 years, and we may potentially get those seeds this year. And she may make them available to all of us. I haven't talked to her in a little while, so I don't know where she stands on that. But again, these are heirlooms. These 15 years growing wild on this hillside, they grow down the hill and they return year after year after year, and nobody's touching these things. Okay, we're gonna have to think about this one. Tomatoes, though. Um, this next one, I'm gonna cover this on another channel with another channel. Uh, but we're gonna do a broader spectrum on this. But add bell peppers, and I'm gonna lean in and go even harder on that and say, you know what? Let's do the high end red bell peppers. Don't do greens, do reds on this system. Less capsaicin, but it's much higher A, B, and C vitamins. Okay. There's some tricks to growing peppers, though. Don't misunderstand. It's not as bad as the next one, but uh, yeah, you want to start this 8 to 10 weeks? Yeah, 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost. You want to watch those soil conditions and watch those soil temperatures before you put it outside. And it's another slow grower. It's 60 to 90 days. Um, this is another one. You got to watch where you plant this thing. Um, there are some diseases that when you have one plant growing and you plant something else in its location, this is why I preach so much against crop rotation. If you plant peppers where you had tomatoes, eggplants, or even potatoes, there are some very specific diseases that will kick up out of the soil that will come after those peppers. So peppers one of them ones you want to, be very careful where you're growing these things. And again, you don't need crop rotation if you're amending the soil correctly and you're treating it like a living being, like a living member of the family. It's going to reward you immensely. But and I talked this morning, and I'll bring the channel up. It's Picker Rick. He's another hardcore gardener, another pepper grower. Him and I are going to get together and do a live stream and cover this in a little bit more detail. Um, but your vitamins, A, B, C, fiber content is high. Potassium, manganese. The peppers are very good heart health foods. The higher the capsaicin, it turns out the better off for the heart. But because of the way this system grows, um, I I warn pepper growers, be very, 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 very astute and be very, very careful using this system on your hot peppers, your ghosts, your chilies, your habaneros. Uh, um, you might get the hottest you've ever seen in your life when it gets back to growing natural. Um, but again, that's going to be Picker Rick and I are going to do a half-hour stream or something and just strictly talk peppers, grow them, protect them, soil condition. We're going to go over that. So look for that one coming in the future. Now this next one, sweet potatoes, uh, nutrient dense skin, high fiber, much better for you than any of the other potatoes. I'm sorry. It is better. for you. It is better for the dieter. It's better for the heart. Um, Diabetics should be leaning on this one hardcore because of the low glycemic index. This is a pretty important one. If you can get off, because a lot of people love baked potatoes. It turns out when you bake a potato, the skin becomes toxic in the human body. There's some bad things that happen. Now, a boiled potato, okay, no problem. Even though there's all the nutrients in it, what have you, this is, trust me, lean towards the sweet peppers or sweet potatoes. But it's a weird grower. Research this one. Um, you really don't want to be transplanting this thing, but you got to watch your soil conditions. Um, this one, I mean, if you're a hardcore gardener, this is the top dog. If you can get this thing to grow in your soil and really do phenomenally well, um, hats off to you. That's a that's a gardener. Um, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to lean in and there's some. You know how I am about garlic. Well, the alum family, all of them. These are all very tremendous, all very, very good for your health, all high in vitamins and minerals. Um, Garlic has many, many different things. Great for fighting off colds, great for increasing your metabolism, um, um, driving off pests, just like onions, chives, and leeks. This whole group, you need to have these things growing in your garden as well. Now, if you're a first time gardener, you want to add some marigolds around your garden edge. If you're unsure of your soil conditions, grow some sunflowers to detoxify and pull the heavy metals out of your soils. You don't want those in your plants. Throw the sunflower away, obviously, but detoxify your soils. You can do that just by throwing up some of these sunflowers. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm almost at 30 minutes. Um, Good luck. Good luck this year with the Green Wizard system, and please reread the book. A few gardeners last year tried the system and skipped some steps, and those of us, those of you that are now Green Wizards yourselves that have read the book, have pointed out these gardeners' mistakes, um, where they skipped steps from the Green Wizard's guide and they didn't get all the benefits in their gardens because they skipped a step here, they skipped a step there. Let's go here. This is kind of where getting better with Ann Beal. Ann herself had asked me and suggested that we do this for garden prep. What would we do? Well, if you got a garden, you got a yard. Right now, this time of year, regardless of where you are, obviously it doesn't work in the snow. Uh, but where I'm at, we haven't got any snow. We're 50, 60 degree weather right now in Cleveland, Ohio. Actually 36 today. But the weather's been fluctuating something terrible. Vancouver Island, 2 feet of snow last night. We got rain. So it's just, you want to be weed and feed your garden, weed and feed your soils. Now would be that time, 6 to 8 weeks of weed seed destruction, and then it becomes a nitrogen builder. Uh, yeah, you remember your yard and your garden, anything over 50 degrees, they're looking for food. They're looking for seeds are prepping. This, that, and the other are going on in your soil. The food web is still active and alive at 50 and above. If you're sitting in those kind of circumstances, you need to be thinking about, how can you get your garden ahead of time and get those weed seeds out of there so that you're not having to deal with weeds throughout incredible garden season. This is the time to do that stuff. So I'm going to stop there. If you enjoyed this, spread the word. Please check the show more. There's some links in there. If you don't have the book, order the book. If you want a signed copy, go right ahead and order it from me. Support the channel, please. Let us know what you want, what you're looking for. If we can ask a battery of questions, please email me. Email is also there. But go check out Brain Food. There's a lot of interesting information there. Go over and check out my other channel. There's a lot to learn, and there's 30 years of researching that stuff. Just as good as the Green Wizard's guidebook is, you can just imagine with 30 years, instead of just 15 years working on gardens and yards, try 30 years of studying all of this other stuff. So I appreciate your time. I thank you for listening. I hope to see you again next week, or talk to you again next week. You know where to find me. I appreciate you stopping by. Again, hit that thumbs up. Spread the word. Share this out. Let people know the Green Wizards had some suggestions for this year's garden, and that you need to plan ahead of your frost. We'll talk to you, everybody. Have a great day.